it's a sliding scale in terms of how the government forces can have a hand in when they're helping to fund the media. But I agree that it's we're looking for solutions. We're looking for solutions, and we're looking for the cash to be able to fund all of these things. And so, in terms of, we want to open it up for all ideas, solutions. Joel, I don't know if anything immediately comes to mind after this first round of the table.
Not a solution.
Not a solution.
I think I just said a couple points. First, I go to a lot of these things, and the consensus, and the only consensus across the panelists is that people feel that the media is not working. It's not providing them with the information they need to hear. I never hear anyone sit down and go, the system works pretty well. I'm getting the news and information I need. No reason to fix it. But I just want to say one thing, and it actually, there isn't a consensus on the panel, and I'm not going to ask the consensus because I'm not going to try to create one because, but the lack of consensus even in analyzing the problem is part of the challenge we're facing looking for solutions. So I am going to complicate things further by pointing out just a couple of points. One is, corporate and private interests engaged in the media, that's not a new phenomenon. I mean, the Pulitzers and the Hearsts in the United States, they were families, oligarchic families with particular interests. When I used to live in Mexico as a correspondent there, the main television network Televisa was owned by the Escarga family. You can take your pick. But I think one of the challenges here is that when corporations and wealthy individuals engage in media ownership in order to make money, people have their complaints about that, but that's kind of transparent. The problem is that the technology that we're describing means that media in most instances is not really a good business. Not always, but in many circumstances. And I think that if you just look at the phenomena in Turkey, when you talk about the way that Turkey's media has always been dominated by oligarchic interests, but they used to be, the way it used to work is that you were a conglomerate, a business conglomerate, and one of the things that you owned was media. So the pressure that could be applied was that the government would mess with your other businesses if they didn't like your company. But you were primarily in media to make money. Now, media is a tax. So you own a big conglomerate, and everyone says, you're losing money every day on your media. But you can continue to have the concessions as long as you support them. Because you're out there kind of reinforcing my views is a benefit. So the fact that the media industry is no longer, in many instances, economically viable means that it's even more vulnerable to these kinds of outside interests who are investing in media, not because they want to serve the public, not even because they want to make money, which at least is a transparent interest, but because they have some other goal which may not be visible or transparent.
Just to point out, one of the in the U.S., one of the remaining exemplars of great journalism, the Washington Post, which was on its Watergate and continues to be a great newspaper, was essentially saved 4 years ago by Jeff Bezos, the owner of Amazon, who up until now seems as though he's keeping his hands off, but he's the leading retailer in the world, essentially, and owns. He's already acting kind of back and forth on Twitter with Donald Trump, but in any case, yes, I agree. These questions have always been out there, but are changing because of politics, are changing because of technology. Out there in the rest of what you all are seeing in terms of some of these issues, yes.
My name is Roy. I'm with the independent researcher for the OGP, but coming from Israel and I deal academically actually with a lot of these questions. This was a very depressing opening. And I thought Bill said there were going to be solutions in a minute, but I didn't see them coming. So I want to add it to the depression, and then but maybe ask a question or two that can open discussion on solutions. Some of this is happening under a legal framework that many people involved in this are part of, that said, freedom of the press means everybody hands off, everyone hands off, no content regulation, which was repeated here in the context of Bangladesh, and it's really hard to find a common ground for the discussion on this in different contexts of different countries. But this, our dedication to this concept that freedom of speech means zero regulation of content has in many ways brought us to the place where there is no such thing as truth and non-truth. It's a post-truth world, and you cannot say, there's nothing wrong with sending out false information, or there's nothing you can do about it, at least in a regulatory or legal framework. And that all has very good reasons, but maybe reality needs to make us put some question marks on that, which leads me to be very, very interested in to learn what the French legislation you mentioned earlier was, or how you said the French government sort of applied some pressure to help the newsroom face its owners. So that's also, looking at ways in which the law maybe needs to step in and say something about a certain type of information that is disseminated by the media is something I think we need to be open to. When the Levison report came out in the UK, I was just that day having breakfast with a legal advisor of one of the major news outlets in the US, and the report just came out in the UK, and they suggested some legislation there. And I remember him saying to me, I said, I'm not sure it's that bad an idea. And he said, when it comes to the press media, the law is a four-letter word. And I think maybe we need to begin distancing ourselves from that notion. But then the more depressing question is, let's say we solve all these problems with the media outlets, aren't we solving yesterday's problem? Because the problem now is not just journalistic freedom, it's saving journalistic at all, because if anyone, I totally agree that it's the traditional media that still is responsible for 90% of the factual information we're getting about the world, whether we get it through Google or Facebook or a blog, and the Pew Research shows this, most of the blog, and everybody's citing to the traditional media, but that's only if you want to say something significant and true about the world. If you want to send out false information, or just information that is insignificant, that you can do very easily without the traditional media, and that is becoming a big chunk of the information circulating out there, and pushing aside any journalistic information, or what we would call as misinformation. So that would be my other depressing question.
Yeah, well, you did take us even farther down. But I think you did open up the question of legal. We can ask Christophe a little bit more elaboration on the situation in France, and then afterwards, Samina, you also can speak to that in Bangladesh. It'd be interesting to hear both.
Just to give you an example about what changed in the past 20 years in a society like France. 20 years ago, we had public media, I wouldn't say state-owned media, public media that were not totally independent, but it couldn't be compared with state-owned media in some countries. And if you wanted to watch in-depth investigation reports criticizing the power, you had to go to private media, for example, Canal+. There were really good investigation broadcasts. Now it's exactly the contrary. Canal+ is owned by Vincent Bolloré. On the ITélé, I spoke about this 24 news channel. It's owned by Canal+. And if you want to have a look on really in-depth investigation reports, you have to go on the public TV channel France 2, and you will have a very good investigation broadcast about, the name is Cash Investigation, it's about mostly economic power. And probably in a country like this one, the key power 20 years ago was the government, political power, and now it's the economic power. Everything has changed. And if you, the question of this summit is an open government, and I consider possibly the question is also of an open society. Because if we have an open government that spreads its data, etc. But if we are all of us, the citizens, if we are in not jails but invisible jails, in the jails of the filter bubbles, in the jails of propaganda, even private propaganda, of news and information really spread with vested interests. So it won't be really a step forward, a good step forward. And if we ask, and we did that to the French citizens, and I'm sorry, Reporters Without Borders, Reporters Sans Frontières is really an international watchdog, but I deal with France because we are here today. But if you want ask the general public, what is a key problem for you? Surveillance of journalists? 3% in an opinion poll. Independence of the media outlets? 80%. So that's really what the citizens want to improve. The independence of editorial content, and probably they are also right to ask for this. So that's why the analysis of what can be. I totally shared what Joel said about this, but I think that transparency is something that we have to require. And it's in Europe, for example, there is more. The Union is trying to ask for transparency, but it won't be enough because I think that journalists in newsrooms, they need more than transparency for the citizens that will not check who owns these media outlets. They need really guarantees. And I think that the solutions have to be guarantees. Are those solutions laws, best practices that are spread? Not different ideas, probably, but we have to give to all those, can be journalists or citizens who want to defend this editorial independence in classical media outlets or in new ones, tools to defend it.
What's in terms of the legal framework? It's has a different history, a different context. What's the latest in Bangladesh?